Buenos dias, Gunners Collective. Back at it, you already know, like a motherfucking smack addict, right? In a menudo style in direct fashion, homies, we're going to talk about the Primera Flats gang, right? And when I say Primera Flats, man, I'm talking about one of the oldest established gangs in LA. You know, a gang made up primarily of Southsiders and Sureños and Vatos that have been doing their wigglization for many, many years. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown, man, into some of the historia of the Primera Flats, right? Who, of course, man, the gang got, the gang's been around, bro. The gang's been around. They've been doing their thing. They've been getting their wiggle on. Their body is well established and deserve their respect and have earned their respect, right? And a lot of vatos didn't really know about Primera Flats, especially gente up north, until the movie American Me came out, where La Primera was loosely based on the Primera Flats, right? That's when it started getting popularized. That's when people were knowing about La Primera, right? But Primera's been around for many, many years, homes, and I'm about to give you a nice little spiel and a little rundown onto the intricate history of the La Primera and, what they've had going on. So Primera Flats are primarily a Mexican-American street gang, homes, located in L.A., and they consisted of the 1st Street Primera Flats in Boyle Heights and the 23rd Street Primera Flats in South Central, also known as South Los Angeles. The Primera Flats originated in Aliso Village, right? Government housing projects, along with the Cuatro Flats, the 4th Street Flats, and the East LA Dukes 13. The low-income housing projects were located on 1st Street and Mission Road, I think, in Boyle Heights, a predominantly Latino community. Primera means first in Spanish for 1st Street in Boyle Heights, Los Angeles, right? But in 1999, the housing project was demolished and replaced by a place called Pueblo del Sol, right? The Primera Flats then moved further along to 1st Street between Indiana Street and Lorena Street, Now, the Primera Flats 23rd Street, PF23, are located on the east side of South Central Los Angeles, California, right? They're the sequel of the original Primera Flats that are from 1st Street in the Aliso Village government housing projects in East LA. The 23rd Street Flats barrio stretches from San Pedro Street and Main Street between 23rd and 25th Street. The Primera Flats often meet up at Trinity Park located on Wall Street. However, this area was led to some deadly shootouts with rival gangs, when they meet up and shit, motherfuckers see them and it's on and cracking. All throughout the park, there's cliques are 23ers, Street, Pee-wees, the Termites, the TMS, and Midget Locals, Chicano rapper and actors from there, from Primera Flats. He's pretty known out of there for those that don't know. He's from the Primera Flats 23rd Street gang, if I'm correct. I'm not too sure, but last I heard, that's what he was repping, The 1st Street Primera Flats, they formed an alliance with the 4th Street Flats. And this alliance was broken when a member of the 4th Street Flats shot and killed a member of the Primera Flats in 2005. And then the rivals in the beginning, man, that coincided in the Aliso Village projects, such as the Cuatro Flats, the Mob Crew, Al Capone, and 1st Street East Coast Crips, the only black gang in Boyle Heights, were their rivals, right? Other rivals of Primera Flats are Clarence Street Locals, Breed Street, and East LA 13. Now, 23rd Street Flats, they got a lot of rivals too, homes. The Street Saints, 22nd Street Gang, the Ghetto Boys Gang, and 38th Street, Barrio Locals Park, and the Harpies Gang. The Primera Flats and the Ghetto Boys battled for control of Trinity Park during the 80s and the 90s, due to there was a lot of money fucking being made right there at that parque. It was really cracking. So Vatos fucking would battle it out with the Ghetto Boys. And, the fucking rivalry, bro, it wreaked havoc right there in South Central LA streets. South Central, it be getting down, man. There's a lot going on with a lot of Africanos, being that it's largely an Africano community, but there's a lot of raza, especially nowadays, that have moved into that area, man, and are really doing their thing, they wreaked havoc, bro. They were out there getting it. They were out there wiggling, doing their thing in a menudo style. And so that's getting motherfuckers were not playing, Primera Flats, they're about the business, And there was a death of an 8-year-old boy who died from a stray bullet at Trinity Park, I think in 2002. And that made the Ghetto Boys, man, denounce the recreation center to avoid problems. They didn't want no part of that because, Vatos were going to have to pay and answer for that 8-year-old boy getting hit. Even though it was a stray bullet, still, every death will be accounted for. And, there's casualties in war, and stray bullets fly, man. But especially in the raza, when you're within a group faction, a raza group faction, man, you don't want to be a part of that situation, man, because that could look ugly, especially down south, man. They could greenlight your whole barrio, Being that if a Vato did a drive-by or acted out of character or made a move that he was supposed to move and it hurt an innocent civilian, especially a kid, you can get that one time for your mind. But anyways, so the Primera flats, they've been around for a very long time. I think they got established back in the, if I'm correct, man, back in the 20s, the 1900s and the 20s, way back in the days. And that original area it was a Russian community. It was a Russian community, and it was called the Russian Flats. And it was housing projects right there. Always been housing projects. Of course, when Mexicanos started to migrate in, they kind of took over. The Russian community was demolished, and Aliso was fucking. The Aliso projects were created, and Mexicanos became predominantly the gente right there, and the raza, established. And then, of course, like I said, man, that was later torn down in the 90s, and then you had Pueblo del Sol, right? But a lot of people, talk about Primera flats. I myself, La Primera, órale, La Primera, right? And we like to talk about that movie, American Me, that was loosely based on that area, the Boyle Heights area. And I go back to East Los and I talk about, these well-established gangs, these well-established clicas. And I say to myself, man, this is where it started. This is where, and you can't take nothing from these individuals, these gangs like White Fence, Primera, Hazard, Dogtown, these original Tunerville, which was a part of White Fence at one point, Clanton, which 18th Street derived from. There's just a lot of history there that a lot of gente don't know about, and I myself, being laced a little bit and being able to Google Vato, orale, Google one time, right? But not only that, knowing Vatos and doing time established with these Vatos from Primera or Primera 23 or 4th Street Flats and just different individuals and different gente, I'm able to decipher the different barrios, and I told the story about one time getting Primera mixed up with 4th Street Flats, and I thought they were all the same thing, and then I was told quickly that they were different, and one can only be laced up to one's capabilities, they tell me, and then it gets established, it gets fucking downloaded in my CD-ROM in my head, and so I'm going to run with that. But I just go back to these old barrios, to talking about them, and to really picking the brains and the minds of vatos that really wiggle every day in these old school barrios. My barrio, of course, being up north, man, didn't get established to the 1980s, right? So my history is very different. The historia of my barrio is different, very well established también, but at the same time, man, a whole different type of level and a whole different type of stilo. Different type of stilo. Doesn't mean that vatos aren't down. Vatos will fucking tear your whole fucking dome off and wiggle. But at the same time, I just like the historia and the history that goes into these old, barrios that are derived from zoot suitors, the original cholos, the original Mexicanos that went through the struggle of coming to America, man, and making it happen, or even the vatos that were here when it was Mexico. It goes all the way back. Raza's been here, man. The West Coast Califas, all that has been a raza from day one. And a lot of vatos don't understand that. These barrios are very old, before Sureños, before M, before NF, before Norteños and all that, man. These barrios were established, for the betterment of the people, a lot of these are poverty-stricken eras or areas where the gente, conglomerized. Basically, they got together and, they formed, I wouldn't say villages, but they formed groups, groups and pockets of the people, of the gente, of the raza, because you could identify with oneself. You could identify with your people, and it just became an area known. And East LA is predominantly an area like that of a raza. And, you got a lot of Africanos in Los too. Don't get it twisted, man. There's a lot of Africanos out there. And for the most part, most of the Africanos, man, get along with the raza, but there are a lot of tensions there. There's always been a lot of tensions and rivalries, like East Coast Crips with the Florencias in South Central, and so on and so forth, The funny thing is, with all these barrios that sprang up in the 1900s, 20s, 40s, 50s, and on and so forth, these barrios being in close proximity to each other, being very fucking close, homes, vatos took it upon themselves to form some type of rivalry, and it's a trip, because on one street can be your allies, vatos that you wiggle with, you get along with. It's just one street over, and then 2 streets over is the enemiga that you're willing to go to the death with, and it's just a trip. It's a trip. It's very different up north. Up north, we have barrios established, and then on the other side of town are the enemigas, or were at one point in time, and then they stopped red on red, and things changed, Up north is a lot different. But I've always liked the stilo of down south, because it just seems a little bit more traditional. A little bit more traditional, and at the same time, man, a lot of history goes into it. A lot of old time history, a lot of chicanismo, a lot of real talk comes in the real ways of the barrios, you know. And the only way to understand and establish that in your mente and to educate oneself is to go back and read, you know, look into the history, talk to vatos that are really from these barrios, you know. A lot of people don't know that Primera Flats, you know, they had to move a couple times. They had to move, and you know that was due to you know the I guess you would call it administration or the fucking public or whatever, you know, deciding for one reason or another to tear their barrio down, basically tear their projects down, which was their barrio, you know, and so they had to move further down, you know, on first. But it happens, man, and it tends to happen down south a lot. It's called gentrification, man. People move in. They want a Starbucks right there. Orale, that was my barrio. It ain't no more, homes. It's a fucking Starbucks and a Jamba Juice. Orale, you know what I mean? Go get you a fucking jugo. That's how it is. You know, same thing happened right there where Staples Center's at. You know, that was a barrio right there. That was a well-established barrio for many, many years right there. You know, where the Staples Center now sits used to be housing projects right there. And I'm not too sure of the barrio. I think it was barrio Clover. I think it was Clover. You know, I could be wrong. Quote me if I'm wrong and correct me, dispensa. But I think, you know, if my mind recollects that, I think it was barrio Clover, and now is the Staples Center, right where Avario was, you know. So imagine your barrio growing up in the hood in your barrio, and next thing you know, it's a fucking theme park and 2 McDonald's, a Starbucks, and a Burger King, but you can't have it your way because it's not your hood no more, you know. It's to be displaced like that is a trippy situation. But a lot of these barrios are so well ingrained and so established in East LA, Boyle Heights area, Montebello, all that area, and in close proximity to each other, man. I don't think they're going anywhere, Holmes. You know, I don't think the people want to go in there and fuck with what they got going on, because the gente will rise up and stand tall for what they believe in. You know, Primera Flats has always been one of those gangs and one of those hoods have been around. You know, First Street Flats have been around from the beginning, as well as 23rd. And I like to get into the history of the older barrios from Los. You know, the older barrios from San Diego, the older barrios from down south, as well as the older barrios from up north, like Salinas y Marqueta, the Mission District, you know, Oakland, Jingletown, you know, Fruitvale, Barrio Fruitvale, Barrio Horseshoe and Sanjo, you know what I mean? El Hoyo Palmas. These older barrios like this are are the barrios that intrigue me. You know, they intrigue my mente because I like to be educated on the old school, the historia of the people. You know, everything plays into the raza. Everything plays into the brown movement, you know. You can't say, oh, man, I'm from up north, so I'm only going to trip out on, excuse my voice, I'm only going to trip out on what's going on up north. Chale, it doesn't work that way, man. In order to know one's enemy, or in order to know one's true self, man, and what the meaning of raza is, you need to pick the brains and the historia on everything around you and everything that goes into it. And quietly as it's kept, and when it's all said and done, regardless of the way some of these babosos act nowadays, it's all one people. It's all one gente. We're all Chicanos or Mexicanos or whatever, so on and so forth, Latinos at the end of the day. And I believe in such, you know. Everybody's different. Some vatos are like, I'm not from there, so I don't care to know. Well, Charlie, homes, because at the same time, you got to understand, man, that you're, maybe not you, but some of your familia are derived from there. Eventually, homie, everybody came from Mex. Everybody's family came from Mex, and they had to pass through Los to get here. You feel me? And that's just what it is. So I like to look into these older gangs like Evergreen, White Fence, Big Hazard, 18, Clanton, La Primera, you know what I mean? Primera Flats, even the barrios in Compton, you know what I mean? Tortilla Flats, the 70s, you know, 155s, Compton Barrio Segundo, all these barrios that have been around, you know, and Eastside 13, all the Maravillas. Of course, the Maravilla is well established for many, many years, you know, named off various streets in LA, you know, in East LA. And the history doesn't end there, man. There's a lot of older gangs in the Valle, San Fernando Valle, San Gabriel Valle, and I'm going to give them their love. You know, you got V&E, you got over there, you got Pomona 12th Street Sharks over there in Pomona, you know, in Pacas, Northside Pacas, Eastside Pacas. You got vatos that have been wiggling for a long time, you know. And I just had the privilege and the honor of doing tiempo with a lot of vatos and talking to a lot of vatos, you know, and finding out about certain neighborhoods and who gets along with who and who doesn't get along with who. And I'm very grateful for the aspect of that, you know. And vatos think with me, man, it's all fun and games, and oh, Gunner, yeah, he likes to joke, oh, y'all hold, and things of that nature. But at the same time, bro, it's not always about that. It's about bettering oneself daily, right? Educating oneself, striving for excellence, homes. Órale, Raiders, the excellence. Striving for excellence of oneself, man, within, and you can never be as educated as you think you are. There's always something new to learn, you know? So I pick the methods of the people around me, whether it's a norteño, a sureño, an old school fucking veterano that never was affiliated, an NF member, an MM member, whatever the case may be. Everyone has a story to tell and they have something to say, man, and they can make good points. So I get well seasoned in the game, and this is where I get my clecha, you know? I've been cletched up and indoctrinated my whole life by vatos that have been around the way and vatos that were really down for it. They were with the business, you know? And I'm going to continue to stay educated because that's what I strive for. I strive for education of the people so that I could better help the people, man, to end all the bullshit, man, and come together as one raza. That's my whole goal. My goal is to push forward for the people, by the people. You already know what it is. You know, at the end of the day, vatos can say whatever they want. But, man, la primera lives, que no? So I just wanted to touch, you know, on the Primera Flats gang and give them their respect. Put some respect on their name, give them the respect, and know that they're a well-established vato. And they didn't just come out in the 90s, homes, when American Me came out. You know, that movie, like I said, was loosely based on a lot of different things. You know, it showed the Hazard Projects. It showed Boyle Heights. You know, it showed a lot of different situations, a lot of different things. But like I said, man, that was not based on a true story. That was accounted from a true story. You know, it was a story adapted and wiggled and changed, man, to manipulate the masses and show people the intricacies and the plight of the people over there in Los, you know, and it was what it was. It served its purpose, I guess, at the end of the day. But at the same time, man, there's a lot more deeper and rich history that goes into the Primera Flats that people don't know about. You know, I did time with vatos from Primera Flats, and I tripped because I always thought that gang was made up for the movie. And when I met vatos that were really from there, it tripped me out. It's just like the movie Boys in the Hood. When I met someone from Crenshaw Mafia, I actually met a sangre from Crenshaw Mafia, Little Lunch Me, shout out and rest in peace. To know that was a real gang tripped me out, you know. But being up north, just like being down south, man, we don't hear everything that goes on down south, and they don't hear everything that goes on up north. And it's time, and all that needs to change. It's time to educate oneself on all the raza, everyone around you, north and south, bulldogs también, because at the end of the day, man, it's coming to a point in this world, man, and in this life, man, where we might depend and we might need each other. You know, a lot of vatos say, Charlie, homie, we ain't gonna need them vatos from up north or them vatos from down south. But sabes que there may come a time, homes, when soldados have to stand up and rise up together, man. You know, and the masses, it's gonna go down. You know, and Chicanos need to be aware of who's around them and what they're all about. You know, and the only way to do that is to educate yourself and know the historia of what's going on with the people, with the gente, because we're all the raza at the end of the day. Anyway, so I just wanted to touch on that, man. I hope that you get everything that you want coming to you. I hope that you move fast with a purpose. Remember, raza, that's called hustling. Getting up every morning, rolling that mattress or making your bed, whatever the case may be, dusting your motherfucking shoulders off and going out there and getting it for your familia, however you get it, whether it's legal or illegal, so let's do that, man. You know, every day, work is work, vato. You know what I mean? Don't be choosy. Beggars can't be choosy. No, I'm not going to kick banging. I'm going to get my unemployment, gun. You got me fucked, orale. You know what I mean? Obama said, nah, fuck what Obama said. I'm telling you what I said. What I said, man, go out there and get it for your peoples, because at the end of the day, man, that's the man that gains that respect. And that's the man that shows, you know, what he's all about. And that's what we're all about. And in that fashion. Anyways, keep doing your thing, raza. If you haven't tapped into the membership, tap into the membership. I'm going to be dropping some exclusive pictures, exclusive video, exclusive lives, things of that nature, exclusive raffles. You already know what time it is. If you're new to the channel, I hope that you like and subscribe. You already know what it is. The business, the gun, bang, bang. All the frivolous wordplay and talk on other channels that's going on. It is what it is, man. I'm not tripping. They gets no energy. I thought you knew it, fool. You know how I do it. The gun, bang, bang. And in that fashion.